everyone, welcome to this week's video. So this week I thought I'd do it slightly differently. I decided that I was going to order a veg box because one of the local companies that I used to get my veggies from all the time actually, which is called Devon Fresh, sent an email to say that they were doing a veg box. They called it it's autumn fruit and veg box. And it was discounted, so it was going to be £15, and it looked like it was going to be quite a good deal actually, so I thought why not. So we got that delivered on Monday, and we also decided that we were going to use up stuff from the cupboards and the freezer, and because we were having a veg box delivered, we would make it a vegetarian week. So it's quite a frugal way of doing things, as we've spoken about before. You know, using up what you've got is such a good idea because, you know, you've already bought it, so you might as well use it. And cooking vegetarian food as well is a very frugal way of cooking, because meat and fish have got very expensive. The other thing is 2 of the recipes are in the slow cooker, which really is one of the best ways of cooking. But I also did have to put the oven on one of the days, but I didn't just cook one thing in it. As you'll see, I cooked several things, and I made sure that they were all prepared and literally ready to go in one after the other. So we had a bit of a system going on. Martin helped me. He did a lot of the chopping, preparing of the veg. And the other reason why we kind of processed a lot of the veg that day is that, again, nothing goes to waste. So although we weren't going to eat everything this week, it's all cooked and in the freezer, ready to just be taken out, defrosted and microwaved. So if you possibly can batch cook, it really, really is the way forward. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Like I say, it's slightly different, and this is what we ate this week. Oh, I just wanted to quickly say, I'm not very good at giving exact amounts for recipes, especially in the slow cooker, because it doesn't matter. Don't be afraid, just bung things in. You know, if you like things extra spicy, put more chilli in. If you don't like them too spicy, put less in. If you don't have an ingredient, substitute it for another one. Just go with the flow. It doesn't have to be precise. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. This is the veg box that I'm going to be working with this week. I got this from a local company called Devon Fresh. They were running an offer, so all of this was only £15 delivered, which I thought was a great bargain. And it's called an autumn box, so there's a selection of different autumnal fruits and vegetables in there. Lots of kind of root veg, lots of good warming stuff. There's ginger and first lot of Brussels sprouts for this year, sweet potatoes, ordinary potatoes, there's rhubarb, pears, apples, all sorts of different things, and a massive bag of kale as well, which is good. So let's see how we get on with this box and how the week unfolds. For this soup, I've used 1 sweet potato, 2 carrots, a whole of a small butternut squash, some onion, which was actually frozen but I wanted to use it up, some red split peas, chicken stock, and then I've also added 2 teaspoons each of chili powder, cumin, coriander, 1 teaspoon of turmeric and a stock cube. And I'm just going to let this cook in the slow cooker pretty much all day whilst we're out and about, and until it's all soft and the lentils are cooked. Obviously using a slow cooker is a really frugal way of cooking, and you know, I haven't filled up the slow cooker because I didn't want to make loads of this, but you could easily double the quantities. And with the spices, you know, if you don't like it too spicy, don't add as much chili powder. If there's another spice that you really like, you could put that in. instead of using all the separate spices, you could put some curry powder in it or something like that. You know, make it your own. When it was cooked, I added half a tin of coconut milk, which is going to make it really kind of creamy and delicious. Coconut milk is a good healthy fat. The other half of the tin I have frozen, ready to use for another recipe. And then I've also added a really good bunch of fresh coriander, stalks and all, don't waste them. And then I'm just going to blend it up. I like it to be quite thick, but you could add more liquid if you wanted a thinner soup. And then I've just portioned it up, 3 for the freezer and 2 for our dinner. As I said at the beginning, the day that we cooked the sausages in the oven, we also had a load of other stuff to go in the oven. So if you are putting your oven on, don't just cook one thing in it. Put anything else you can think of in there. You know, as you'll see, I did some egg muffins, which are going in the freezer for breakfasts. They're good for picnics and things like that as well. We did a rhubarb crumble, which you can freeze. And all the veg, things like parsnips and potatoes we roasted up. And again, they'll just go in the freezer and be used for another day. So yeah, if you are switching your oven on, try to cook several things, because you know the main amount of power used is heating it up in the first place. So once it's on, you might as well make the most of that heat. And even when the last thing went in the oven, I turned it off just, you know, about 10 minutes before I knew the last thing would be cooked, and it carried on cooking and it was absolutely fine. So yeah, I hope that helps. So whilst the sausages are cooking in the oven, we were just prepping a load of other veg to go in. As I said before, once the oven's on, I want lots of things in there cooking, so it makes the most of switching it on and heating it up. I also did some like little egg muffin things. I had some mushrooms left over, I had some cottage cheese, some egg, there's a bit of pepper in there. Mix it all together, pop them in the little silicone muffin tins and bake them in the oven. They freeze really well. I've also done a rhubarb crumble with the rhubarb from the veg box, and this is a kind of a healthy-ish crumble because it's got oats and some almond flour. It's sweetened with maple syrup. There's lots of ginger and cinnamon in there. Again, this freezes really well, so I know that we won't be eating this week, so this will go in the freezer. And then we've also been preparing the veg to go with the sausage and mash. So this is my portion, which is made with veggie sausages, and Martin has got some proper sausages from the butcher's, which I had in the freezer. And then we've got like a root vegetable mash. Oh, and here's all the leftovers. So there's both our sausages, there's more root veg mash in there, some sprouts, some leeks, some of the onion gravy, and again that'll all go in the freezer ready for us to have another time. It will just need microwaving, so it's so easy. And then here's all the other veg that I've cooked, or we've cooked and prepared and portioned up, all ready to go in the freezer. Got lots of red cabbage, beetroot, swede, roast potatoes and parsnips, carrots, kale, sprouts. So yeah, a really good job done. And yes, the oven's been on for a couple of hours, but I won't be putting it on again this week. So really pleased with that, and no waste. This curry worked really well done in the slow cooker, but you could easily change up the veg that you put in it if you wanted to. You could add chickpeas to it instead of lentils. You don't have to put the peanuts in if you don't want to, but to me they gave a really nice crunch. Really enjoyed this one. I'm definitely going to do more veggie curries in the slow cooker. I just served it with some brown rice, and I also batch cook rice. I cook a big pot full of it and then I portion it up and I freeze it. And I know some people don't agree with that and they're a bit scared of reheating rice, but I've never ever had a problem with it. Just make sure it's piping hot when you do reheat it, but it freezes really well. So again, cook a big batch full and pop it in the freezer. The actual curry freezes really well as well, so that's all in the freezer ready for next time. And we had some mango chutney with it and some poppadoms, delicious. I'm going to make this curry in the slow cooker. So I've got some lentils, the red split peas, I've got sweet potato, coriander, curry powder, garlic and chilli salt, I've got an onion, a stock cube, tomato puree, a lime, some coconut milk, some kale. So I'm going to put a little bit of peanut butter in it, some chilli and ginger, some roasted peanuts and some fresh coriander. Now, again, because it's in the slow cooker, I'm not going to give you precise amounts of each ingredient because it's very, very flexible. We like things quite hot and quite tasty, and I find in the slow cooker you need to add a bit more spice than you would normally. But again, go with what you like, you know your own taste. If you don't like it too hot, don't put too much chilli in. Once everything had cooked for most of the day, I added the peanut butter, the coconut milk and the fresh coriander right at the end and just gave that a stir. And then I just left that literally to cook for another couple of minutes. And then I added the peanuts. Again, not precise measurements, I just bunged in a couple of handfuls. And this is really yummy, very spicy. A bit nutty, packed full of veg, packed full of flavour. This is a really simple, really cheap meal to cook using an air fryer if you've got one. Now, I'm using just ordinary eggs, and I'm using these new potatoes in a tin. We are trying the Aldi baked beans. We normally get Heinz, but they've got so expensive, so we're trying the Aldi ones. I've got salt and pepper, some tomatoes, and some smoked paprika and oregano to flavour the potatoes with, but you could use whatever other kind of spice or flavourings that you like. The trick with these potatoes is when you drain them to pat them dry with kitchen towel before you put them in the air fryer. Then they'll go nice and crispy. They don't look great, to be fair, when you get them out of the tin, but once you've flavoured them and crisped them up in the air fryer, they're really yummy, and they're a really inexpensive way of having some nice crispy potatoes that they're good for you. Much cheaper than boiling up new potatoes or putting them in the oven. So yeah, I would recommend them, and they're very cheap to buy as well. So I just added a tiny bit of oil and all the flavourings, fried my eggs, cooked my beans, which were disgusting. We're not going to get those ones again, but we might try some other supermarket ones. And yeah, it's a really inexpensive, yummy meal. Thank you so much for watching. I'm definitely going to do some more vlogs like this because I really want to try and use my slow cooker a lot more. And I'm also, going to try and have more weeks where I do eat more veggie meals. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Bye.